Yeah, like a jackrabbit. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that.
Hi,
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. So, I kind of want to shift the conversation about DEI a little bit away from culture because I don't know if that's necessarily like a helpful conversation to have. And I really want to talk more about representation. So, 1 in 5 Americans currently is Hispanic. This country, like it or not, is not a homogenous country. We are a very diverse country. Mm-hmm. Do you not think that our legislators should be representative of the overall population?
No. Fuck no. Fuck no. That's insane. That's it. So first and foremost, we know Spanish people make up a lot because first off, we have all these illegal migrants, all these illegal immigrants coming in. But not only that, but the actual American citizens who tend to be of Spanish descent, they fuck. They literally have like 2, 3 kids, each and every one of them. Like they get it in. Unlike black people who abort 3 out of every 4 children. Like I mean, white people, Caucasians, in terms of birth rates, are in decline because they're not having children. Many of them are too woke, or the dudes just the dating field is just terrible. Women are messing with men who are much older or married, and they're not having children. At least they're sharing the same men of much higher brackets and leaving the ones who are much younger in the dust, or the younger males are getting scooped up by older cougars. That's a whole nother thing. But yes, it's called hag maxing, and yes, that's absolutely a thing. So besides people from the Middle East and Spanish people, no, no, no.
I don't see a way that you can have a quote-unquote representative legislature with 435 members of Congress in a country of 340 million people, because you can divvy that up however you want. It's not by race. You could do it by sex. You could do it by gender. You could do it by sexual orientation. How exactly do you decide what is quote-unquote the representative group? And also, I don't believe that individuals ought to be represented based on group identity. So, for example,
Yep, there it is. And that's another thing. Ben Shapiro's absolutely right. With these people who make up different pronouns every single day, and you have one person who says that they're fairies themselves, or ferrets themselves, or dragonaires themselves, they could always sit there and say that they're not represented. And if they're talking about sexuality, I don't think this girl, if to be tech, we could sit here and be like, oh, this person probably wants to be represented by a black person. But from what I saw, she's wearing a dog collar. So she's wearing a dog collar. She has a metal bar on the bridge of her face, and she has her eyebrows shaved. Do you really think her sexuality isn't a mixture of like 5 different breeds of Pokemon? Just saying.
I'm Jewish. Jews are actually overrepresented in Congress. I don't think that we ought to decide exactly how many people in Congress are Jewish based on the Jewish population of the country. I think that's actually a pretty silly way to do representation.
Well, we don't have to do it systematically, but fundamentally there is an issue with the fact that we are not fully represented. Like, the entire population is not represented. We have never had a black female president. I still have to pay taxes.
We've never had a
The
Jewish
whole
president.
concept is no taxation without. Well, we have had a white male president. We've had like 45 of them.
Whether Jews count as white or not has been sort of an object of debate for quite a while. We do. Okay.
You do.
So, I mean.
All right, so to be honest there, and this is something that I was wondering for a bit, because I was saying I thought Jewish people were white, like wouldn't they be considered white? The whole reason why Hitler was killing all of Jewish people back then was because he did not consider Jewish people white. Jewish people do not consider themselves white. Um, and I mean, after a while, listen, bro, if people weren't even considering, like, for example, I can't call myself an African because I was not born in Africa. And two, why would the fuck would I want to consider myself African when they had our ancestors in cages? And when I say this, I don't mean Africans that are living now, but let's be honest here. They have receipts when they had our ancestors in cages, sick on the beach, to be sold. And if it wasn't for the European men that stopped slavery, they would be still trying. Well, they would have continued slavery for much longer. It was actually so bad, they were begging to continue the slave trade after the Europeans came through and said, nah, you're not doing that. This is terrible. We don't talk about that. Sorry for getting into a little thing, but again, every other group has a thing. You can't call Japanese people Chinese, even if they got the fucking eyes and they kind of look alike to some extent. You can't do that because everyone's different. No one's better, no one's worse, but it is what it is.
I mean, it depends according to whom, and that's a pretty recent development. Okay, so
basically everyone. It's a religion.
Judaism.
Do you not agree that you were a white man?
I mean, I think that it depends on the context in which you're discussing it.
So
Meaning
what
that
are you, Ben? Are you not a white guy?
I mean, I'm a man of Jewish ethnicity, which is sometimes grouped with white and sometimes not. I mean, that's the more accurate way to put it. But when
What
we're
else would
talking
you be
about
grouped with?
with Jews, who are which is an ethnicity. I mean,
So
yeah.
you're not white at all.
I mean, again, it depends who's doing the grouping and how. I've seen Jews grouped with white and Jews grouped with not white. Are we just pretending that doesn't exist? That's a reality. However,
See, and that's the thing. When I was growing up and I was living in New York City, one of the biggest things was all my friends were Jamaican, Trinidadian. Um, One of the first girls that I kind of messed with, she was from St. Lucia. I had all different types, West Indian, all different types of friends, right? One thing I could not do, or one thing that they would not let you do, or one thing that they did not accept was being called black. They did not accept this. And this wasn't just the kids. See, the kids, it was haha, it's a joke. I ain't black. I'm this. I'm not black. I'm this. They let you know real quick, but their parents were even fucking worse. This was the consensus. You could not call these people black 15 years ago, 10 years ago. You couldn't do it because they didn't consider themselves black. But now, ever since the term that was pushed on to people, and people accepted it like idiots by these these pseudo intellectual, left leaning intellectuals from these college campuses, people of color, just like the whole Latinx bullshit that no one asked for. Now they grouped a whole bunch of groups together. Now you have these people, which we call them tethers, who they did not identify as black until they want something from it. They want to take from it, but you get what I'm saying? Simply put, it's the reason why a black person can't call themselves African. A person who's born in Africa can't call themselves black. You can be an African American, but I'm not an African American because I was never in Africa. I was not born in Africa. So by exactly what Ben Shapiro is saying, it's just because we may look alike, which no, a lot of African people's faces don't even look like Afro American or Black Americans' faces. But again, no, Jewish people are not considered white because they just have a whole different set of rules in the way that they live their lives. So no, they would not be considered that. By this standard, that means that we're going to call all Russians white. We will call all Middle Eastern people who are not tan white. No. It's crazy.
as far as your generalized point, which is that we are supposed to identify people by group identity, if we don't have a black female president, somehow black females have not been represented. So Barack Obama was in no way representative of black females because he's not a female.
Barack wasn't black.
He was representative,
So
but
he was
that's
half
the point.
representative. How do you do the math on this? And why?
You shouldn't do the math on it completely statistically, but the fact
You shouldn't
is
do the math
there's
on it at all. You should treat
clearly
people as individuals.
underrepresented.
You should treat people as individuals.
Well, if you don't even want Kamala Harris to attempt to create DEI initiatives in office, then there isn't even going to be a conversation about it.
I mean, I don't think there ought to be a conversation about why we.
Bro, DEI, DNI, all of that shit. We've already seen where DNI or DEI gets us. We got planes with engines and wings and shit falling off in flight out of the sky. We don't need it. When you got astronauts, when you got astronauts being stranded in space and shit like this, and when you got ships crashing into bridges because you got ladies, what was it? What just happened recently? The first gay captain in a ship just sunk a boat for like $3 million, or some shit like this. Come on now. You pick the best for the job. I don't need to see somebody who looks like me for me to vote for somebody. Kids don't need. This is the stupidest thing. Oh, why can't we have black superheroes? It's because black people don't support. Well, I'm just looking at it from my view. I don't need for Batman to be black to be like, I think Batman's cool. I don't need for Superman to be fucking black to be like Superman, which they had a black Superman. I don't need a black Superman. Shit, I identify more with the Ninja Turtles than those two guys, and those two guys are cool. You got all these kids that like, and I'm talking about anime. You got all these kids that like Dragon Ball Z. They ain't no Saiyans. What she's saying is actually racist. What she's saying, but all right.
Ought to be represented by race or by sex. I think that we are each individual people with individual ideas, and if that person represents my ideas, I don't care what sex, race, or sexual orientation they are.
I mean, to an extent, yes.
No,
But there
entirely.
is an issue with the lack of empathy in office. We need to be able to empathize and legislate for the people that are living in this country.
I was not
Do you
aware.
not believe that?
I was not aware that empathy is relegated to particular race solidarity.
No, but I mean, it's easier to be empathetic towards people whose experiences you can fundamentally understand based on your identity. Like,
How do you know that? There are plenty of black people that don't want to be around niggas. I'm one of them. So you think that you should vote for me just based on the way that I look? If you a nigga? No, a nigga's not gonna want somebody like me who's supposedly too proper for them to represent them. Because I wouldn't know their struggles. I don't know what it's like to be lit. I don't know what it's like to be drunk and not be able to pay my bills. But what was it? What's that song? I got a quarter tank of gas and my new something, but that's okay because I can't pay my rent because all my money's spent. No, we will never know what that's like because we understand responsibility. So what? I think that that's fucking insane. So what? We need to have a gay bisexual dare in office to represent women who believe that they're gay bisexual dares or dogs or predators. That's what you're saying.
do you not believe that people have an inherent bias
So first of all, I'm
based
not
on
sure.
identity?
I mean, we can start with the empathy itself. I'm not sure that empathy is always the best basis for actual public policy, because when you have group solidarity and empathy based on group solidarity, you're going to attempt to actually benefit the group with whom you have solidarity. So that actually cuts against
But
generalized
that's like a
public
fundamental
policy.
thing that just exists, which is why we need representation in government.
That bitch crazy. that shit crazy. She's back and she gagged Ben Shapiro like I don't think y'all understand how obsessed I am. 2019 views. Yo, the documentary addict, tornado fanatic, they them Palestinian glizzy glazer. Okay. I don't know what the fuck you watched. She didn't even make a single valid point. She's saying the only person who could represent her is a black female with her logic. That's retarded as fuck. Seeing as black females can't even get along and fight each other over the dude that's cheating on them. Saying that another human being can have empathy for someone because they don't share the same race, gender, or religion is incredibly short sighted. There's more white liberals who think they're empathetic to the plight of black people than anyone. But by her argument, those people are worse at representing her than a conservative black woman because they don't share her race and gender. That reminds me of the communist couple and the guy who was waiting for the bus in New York City. And I was actually in that area. I'm no lie. When that went down, I was sleeping no less than 4 blocks away from that area. 3 blocks away from that area where he got stabbed. And what ended up happening was you had a commie couple, very hippie, very progressive communist, and they were waiting on the bus, and this black dude walked up to the dude, and I forgot something that happened, but eventually the black dude got upset, more upset than normal. He was like attacking mopeds and shit on the street, and he stabbed the white dude twice, and he killed him. And during the time that he stabbed the white dude, um, the white dude was shouting, "I'm on your team. I'm on your side, man. I'm on your side." Because of course, you got these really, really like these white people that don't have no sense of self-preservation, and as long as they can sit there and put black people on a pedestal, even as black people, not black people, but subculture blacks is what we call them. That's what the proper term for them. As long as subculture blacks, they'll try to sit there and pretend that some black people don't like them, or subculture blacks don't like them, or some subculture blacks aren't criminals or violent. So the dude died. The girl didn't want to identify the fucking criminal that did it because she felt like as though it would make subculture blacks look bad. And then like 2 months later, after her boyfriend is dead and they caught the dude, she posted up on and then her and her friends ran a GoFundMe because they were stressed out that the dude died. But while the GoFundMe was being ran, she posted a picture talking about hot while in mourning. As it, anyway, guys, That's the video. I'll catch you guys next time. Leave it in the comments. I'll see you there.